Hello and welcome to another special episode of Mixer. Today we have an immensely talented guest today joining us from all the way in Stuttgart, Germany. Through his impressive DJing talent, Bjornson has featured in exclusive mixes from the likes of MIXMAG and Transmission New York, making waves around the globe, while his production continues to evolve and expand his profound imprint on the techno community. And he's currently a resident at the go-to techno nightclub in Stuttgart called Friedas Pier or Friedas Pier. I'm not quite sure. I might have to ask the pronunciation. The list of this man's achievements could go on and on. Thank you for joining the podcast. It's greatly appreciated.
Thanks for having me. Hey, hey.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I mean, as I said, you've I have an immense respect for what you've achieved, and it seems as though you've achieved a lot. And I suppose it would be cool to start off with where that all came from and where did your journey start?
No, why it started, I think it's now around 20 years ago. I started DJing around with 15, and yeah, the influences came from my family, from a cousin who was into techno because he's 2 or 3 years older than me. So I was influenced by his music taste, and so I started to listen to techno. Um, and yeah, I went to the street parade in Zurich for the first time when I was 15 or 16, and I really was impressed by the huge amount of people are dancing to just one person who is making the music. And I thought that could be fun, and I started DJing. I was really influenced by music before. I started playing drums when I was 5 or 6. So
Yeah.
everything was with rhythm or drums, and so yeah, I think techno is mostly rhythm, drums, and groove, and that's the most important part of for me in a techno track. So yeah, so everything fits together, and then I started, yeah, uh, with in the age of 15 or 16 with DJing, really really classical with two vinyls and a small mixer, which I bought for, I think it was 50 euros or something. It was nothing special, but it was okay for the beginning. Yeah, and yeah, we you it was not possible to buy records on the internet. And
Mhm.
so I had to drive to the city of Stuttgart because I don't live in the city. So, and yeah, and I spent my whole money in the record shops.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was really cool. So, and I really had a lot of fun, and then I started to DJ at school parties. Yeah, and then I had my first club gig. I think I was 18. I had my first
Yeah.
first club gig, also with vinyl, because it was really common to DJ with vinyl in that time. Um, and so yeah, there were more and more club gigs, and I started to have it was a really small residency at the club in my hometown. I didn't have the idea to make more, um yeah, to make it more professional. It was a hobby. It was
Yeah.
cool. I had much fun because in that time I also was playing handball as a semi-professional. So I had a lot of
Nice.
practice and a lot of games on the weekends, and so it was not possible to do it. Um, yeah, to do it more intensive. There was, and then Corona came. Everything was down. The club closed, and I had 3 bad shoulder injuries. And so the doctor said I shouldn't play handball anymore. So yeah, I was.
So disappointing.
Yeah, I I thought so. Yeah, what should I do now? So,
Yeah.
and then I started to invest more and more time in DJing and also in producing. And I started my little podcast in 2020, I think, yeah, or 2021, during the pandemic. Yeah, and the podcast got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I got more monthly listeners. So I thought, yeah, that is really what I want to do at the moment. And then I
Yeah.
started to invest more time in producing. I joined an electronic music producer course in here in Germany. Yeah, and during this course, I produced 3 tracks, and the feedback was very well, and I sent it out. I think it was a really small label. I don't know the name anymore, but they, yeah, they wanted to release one of the tracks, and I was really I was really happy, and I thought, yeah,
That's
now
awesome.
everything will change, yeah. But in the end, nothing happened. But yeah, I I really invested a lot of time in producing, and so my first release on a really big German techno label was in August 22. It was on KD Raw, and that was a really cool achievement, and it was something like a sign for me that I have a talent to produce music, because um, yeah, Richie Hawtin played this
That's
track
awesome.
as a opener on the Time War party in Mannheim. That was really crazy. Yeah.
Wow,
At
that's
that time, I was or I'm still a really good friend to Victor Ruiz, and he texted me in the middle of the night. I was sleeping, and he said, "Did you see that Richie Hawtin was playing your track at the Time Warp?" And I said, "No, I'm in
Wow.
my bed. I'm sleeping." But that was a really cool moment, and yeah, I'm still thinking a lot of that moment. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then I said, yeah, let's do this. Let's invest more time. Let's invest money, and yeah, I think that was a really good decision at the time.
Yeah, I mean, you were able to turn a negative into a positive with COVID and with your shoulder injury. So the fact that you used it as almost like as a boost to take that step, and it really paid off.
Yeah, sometimes I think maybe I yeah, maybe it was a little bit too late, but yeah, it was, yeah, it is what it is. But
Yeah. No, it's a natural way of going about it, I guess. I think it's definitely easy to look back on things and feel that way for sure, especially when it is going well, because it's like, oh, I wish I did it sooner. So that is understandable to feel that way. It was interesting. You mentioned that when you were around about 5 or 6, that you started on the drums. Was that something that was encouraged to you by your parents, or were you just
yeah,
drawn to that as a child?
yeah, my mom played. I think I don't know how to call the instrument in English, but she played in an orchestra, and so I really was influenced by her, and she was or is still listening to a lot of music. So she's a really fan of Queen and ABBA, and so I really grew up with all this kind of music, and is really I like that music a lot because it's timeless, and
Yeah.
no one will be able to do music like this anymore, I think. And it is really, really cool music, and yeah, the house was full with that all the time. And so yeah, I think I was pushed a little bit
Yeah.
in in
D-
in in that direction. My father played handball.
You got a bit of both.
Uh, yeah, I really like to play handball because it is something similar when you come into a sports center, and there's the sports center is full with people, and they are cheering. It is, yeah,
Yeah,
it's something similar like DJing. Yeah.
that makes sense.
It was sometimes it was hard when I was younger. My mom, yeah, she said, "Yeah, you have to go to the orchestra." My dad said, "Yeah, you have to play handball." And sometimes the sometimes it was not able. I was not able to do both. So yeah, it was not,
Yeah,
well, it was not
you're getting
easy all the
pulled in
time.
two ways. Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. And then you mentioned that you did your first gig when you were 18 and you did vinyls or you played vinyl when you did your first gig. What was that? Do you remember how you were feeling at the time? Were you feeling nervous or were you feeling excited or what was going through your head?
Oh yeah, I was really nervous. I'm still really nervous before every gig because um I always think people are coming to the club and they pay money for entrance, and they so yeah, I really want to give my best, and so I always yeah, I'm always really nervous before my gigs. But it's the first 3 tracks, and then when you see the people are in the flow and everyone is dancing and is enjoying the music, so yeah, then it's yeah, it's going better than yeah. But the first 3 tracks are always yeah, that's every time. It's every gig. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first three tracks are the ones that you just need to warm up on, is it? That then you
Yeah,
get into it.
that's when I see everyone is dancing and is enjoying the time, then I realize that I can enjoy it too, and so yeah, then I'm not that nervous anymore. But it's
Yeah.
always before every gig I'm always nervous.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting because I suppose when it's not like every other job where whatever you do is being viewed by a massive room of people. Like, most jobs you can just kind of work on your own or with a team, and it's not like everything you do is being viewed and scrutinized by like 1,000 people. So I totally understand, but I can imagine
And
how intense it must feel.
that is something that I really like about my residency at Friedas Pier in Stuttgart, because they have a no photo policy. The club is really dark and foggy and just a little bit of light. So nobody sees me, and nobody's interested in me. So I really like that.
Interesting. And how did that residency come around then?
uh, I think I played there for the first time in 2023, I think. Yeah. It was a daytime party, and a friend invited me to play there for nothing. Said, "Okay, I like the club. The club is really famous in Europe because everyone of the superstar DJs wanted to play there." So I said, "Okay, yeah, I will come around and play for some hours for free." And then he said, "Yeah, but it is a daytime party. You have to play more melodic techno." And I said, "Okay, yeah, I will do it anyway, so it's okay." I did my thing, and then I talked to the promoter, and the booker of the club, and they said, yeah, at the moment we don't need techno DJs. We have enough techno DJs. And I said, yeah, okay. I thought, yeah, because everyone is a DJ today, so I thought, yeah, just ask, and if
Yeah.
they have a spot, and then I will tell you, and if not, it's okay. So, and then I waited for, I think it was 1 year or something, and then my phone rang, and the booker was on the phone, and he said, yeah, I can remember you. We have Anna Reusch in 2 months. Do you want to play the closing? I say yes, yeah, for sure, yeah. And then there was a really great party. I played, I think, 1.5 hours longer than it was usually planned. They usually have to close at 6 in the morning, and I played until 7:30, and the club was still packed, and it was really cool.
Wow.
They turned on the lights on 7:30, and the club was still full, and it was a really cool moment. And then I think 3 months later, I played the support for Bart Skills, and
Awesome.
then I played support for Joyhauser a few months later, and then they asked if I want to join the resident team. It's a really small resident team. We are just 3 DJs, and every DJ is doing another style. So I'm the only resident for techno, and yeah, they asked
Awesome.
because it was always we always had a good time there, and they said they really like how professional I do everything. Usually I don't drink, and I don't do drugs. I don't bring 20 people in the backstage, and they drink everything. So they really appreciate that is easy. I drink some Red Bull and water, and that's enough for me. And they say they really appreciate that it's not very difficult to organize everything for me. I just need a hotel room, and that's everything. And yeah, so we developed a really good relationship. Yeah.
That's awesome. No, it's a really interesting point you make because it's something I had never really accounted for in the way that a club owner or promoter might perceive that. Um, and they're probably happy to pay for your hotel if they're not paying for 20 people's drinks. So it definitely makes, it's an interesting point in that way. And no, I think you're right. I think that attitude is really good. So that is cool. And you mentioned that you were support for Joyhauser and Bart Skills. What was that experience like?
Well, that was really amazing because um, I already had some connections to Bart or to Joris and Stein from Joyhauser, because Joris and Stein were the first ones who supported my track on the KD Raw label, because Kaiser Disco played the track on Drum Code Radio, and it was Awakenings weekend, and I was sitting in a studio and was doing my music, and then I got an Instagram message from Joy Hauser that they want to play the track on in their Awakening set, and they wanted to have the track
Wow.
very very fast, and I say, yeah, of course, yeah. And so we started a connection. Then we met at ADE, and so there was a little bit there was a connection before I played the support for them. But it's always cool to do that because we meet for dinner, and then we have time to talk, and I like that very much. I think I was 3 hours out for dinner with Bart. It was amazing to hear all his experience. And that's also for me is something like a lesson to learn from someone who is a real superstar DJ. So I really appreciated the time with them.
Yeah. What type of things do you, as a DJ, want to know from someone that you look up to? Like, what were the type of things that you were asking them?
It's I think the most interesting thing for me as a beginner, I would say, is is to know something about how they started their career, um, or something about how do they behave when they go for the DJ gigs, um, because that is so important. Many DJs or many beginner DJs think it's just a party, but it's not. Um, I was in the last 3 years. I joined so many DJs. I was with Victor Ruiz, with Alex Stein, Weber, Anna, um, and they are all always nice. They don't drink that much. They just have their feet on the ground, and that is so important. That is so important. Um, I think most of the rebookings that I get now from the first ones that I had last year or the year before, are because how you behave backstage, how you behave to the crew, to the security, to the bartender. That's so important. And if
Yeah.
you are always nice, you can be sure that you get a rebooking. That is really important, and that was something that I really learned from all the DJs that I joined in the last 3 years.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's a really, really good point. And honestly, it's not something that I feel like people touch on very often. I feel like it's quite an overlooked thing. Um, so that is interesting that you mentioned that, and it makes total sense. It makes complete
Yeah.
sense. Um, and in your Instagram bio, you have a phrase there, and it's dream, create, believe, achieve, succeed. And I just wanted to know if you could describe in a bit more detail your mindset and your attitude towards your career.
Yeah, I created that phrase, I think 2 years ago or 1 year, 1.5 years ago. Um, I was um I was looking for something that I can tell myself when because everything that I do is always up and down. If you have many gigs and a good release, everything is fine, and then you have a month with another many gigs, so you go down, and then you are depressed, and so I thought it's always an up and down, but I always it starts always with me, what I create, what I do in the studio, in the DJ booth, and I achieved something, and so I started to really started to believe in what I'm doing. That so
Yeah.
I got really good feedback from other DJs. I think it's a really good feedback that Richie Hawtin plays your music. Yeah, so I said to myself, start believing in yourself, because it's so important that you believe in yourself, and that you believe that you can make it. And so for me, it was great, believe, achieve, and succeed. So because I think it's something like one step, always higher. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
the idea behind
Yeah.
the phrase.
I like it. You should print it on a t-shirt, I think.
It is. But
Yeah.
yeah, but it's uh, yeah, we didn't start to make officially merchandise, but I have some shirts and
Yeah,
hoodies
sick.
with that phrase on the back, yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. I would buy one for sure. I think that's a really cool one. I honestly, I love that. I love that. I think the attitude of believing in yourself is so on point, and it's so
That's
important.
that's the most that's
Um,
the most important. Never give up, always believe in yourself. And yeah, it's also for professional DJs and artists, it's always the same. They all got rejected 10,000 times, and but it's they just always went on and that's because they are professional artists. So we all got
Yeah.
rejections all the time. It's important to stand up and do it again and start from the beginning always.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. I couldn't agree more. Um, yeah, I think it's easy when you have something like you mentioned that there's dips, there's ups and there's downs, and it is super easy when it does dip that you maybe don't feel like things are going your way. So that belief certainly comes in handy along the way.
Yeah, I think you have to see it. You have to have a clear vision. What do you want to achieve? And then I started to break that down in little steps. And yeah, I do a journal every day. I write down what I
Nice.
achieved the day before, what I want to achieve today, what are my projects for today. So so I stay on track, and that's the most important. And I think that's the reason why many other people or artists are failing, because they don't have the clear vision, and they don't have little goals, and they're just hopping from one thing to another. And then first they want to be a DJ, and then they want to be also a good producer, and then they want to make their own party, and so on. And they're doing so many things, and they do nothing with 100%. And
Yeah,
I think that's the most reason why people are failing, because they don't focus on one thing and then if they reach the goal, then you can focus on the next step. And I think that's why most artists are failing, and they think everything is a big party, and it is not a big
yeah,
party. If you really want to do this thing seriously, it's not just a party. You have a great time as a DJ. That's cool. You can drink. That's also cool. But my personal opinion is you should focus on your work, because you get most of the time you get a good money for it. And
yeah,
so you should focus on your job, because it is a job in that moment. And yeah, and I
yeah.
think that's why
It's
most
true.
people are failing or struggling.
Yeah, and I think as well with the without to without going to like coming I feel like this always comes up in conversations, but it's just so prevalent at the moment, and with social media and the way that our lives are, I do think that it makes people sort of expect a little bit more of an instant reward or instant success, and that prompts people to jump from pillar to post and feeds into that idea of what you were saying about people moving around rather than focusing.
Now, for me, it is. I hate social media, and I
Yeah,
don't know many artists that are that that are yeah that they like it. The most artists I know, they hate social media too, because um, you're forced to present something on Monday, because when you can present something on Monday, it means that you were on tour during the weekend. Yeah, it's such a big pressure. And yeah, because bookings were made out of social media numbers. If you don't have the right numbers, you don't get bookings. And yeah, it really puts a pressure on the people. And that is a problem. So they cannot enjoy the journey if you are
yeah,
on the pressure all the time, because you have to bring something to Instagram or TikTok. You cannot enjoy the journey. And I think the journey is really important. Yeah. And most of the younger artists, they want to become famous in a really short amount of time, and I think that's not healthy, and it's also not healthy for them as artists, and it's not healthy for their career. So um, I really think it should be take a good amount of time to really do one step after another, and so if you have a solid journey, you also have I think I would call it a solid fundament when something happens that you fell down, then you have a solid fundament, because you know how things are developing in the scene
Yeah.
during your career. So you know how the journey goes on. Yeah, and if you don't have that experience, then it can be that you are on the top, and in the other moment you fell down and you don't know how to deal with it, and then yeah, and then you have a
No,
problem.
you're right. 100%. I think it taps into the idea of sort of having thicker skin. I don't know if that's a saying in Germany, but in the UK, if you have
Yeah,
thick skin,
yeah,
means yeah, you get it. So it's like that. If you don't, and that comes with the experience and the knockbacks and the failures and the pushbacks. It's like the only way you're gonna get that is
yeah,
by doing that.
yeah, and sometimes people say it's really important that you make the experiences of rejection, and yeah, so it is hard in that moment, but you can really learn from it. Yeah, and you can build that thicker skin. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you trying to achieve with your career? What does it look like to you?
um yeah, in the beginning, I wanted to achieve that I can make a living out of music and DJing, but that is not the main focus anymore, because I really um, during the last summer I really learned that music is or my career is not everything. Uh, it's uh, it's for the most important is to have fun. And if you put yourself under pressure to always, yeah, so you always have the feeling of, yeah, that you are forced to do this, you are forced to do that, mostly on social media, and sorry. So I decided to slow a little bit down, and that was a good decision in that moment, because um, I really I really I didn't enjoy the time in the studio in the last year, because I always thought, oh, I want to sound like this, I want to sound like that artist, I want to release on that label, so my sound have to be like that, and
Yeah.
that was completely the wrong way, because I didn't enjoy the time in the studio, and I really had the feeling that I forced myself, and there was a really cool moment. It was also on Street Parade last year, on the main stage. They had a really
Yeah.
cool lineup. Yeah, if you see festivals today, yeah, they're really the Instagram DJs, and yeah, topless girls and whatever. Yeah, and they really had a really solid techno booking with it was Rodhead, Fiag, Chris Liebing, Alan Alien, Joris Forn. That was a really cool moment, and I said there was a really cool moment, and I said to myself, that is the techno I like, that is the techno where I come from. So let's do this again. Don't try to sound like drum code, or yeah. So I thought by myself, go in the studio, do whatever you like, and now I really enjoy the time in the studio. The sound changed. Yeah, it's not that much peak time techno anymore. I think in the last 6 months I didn't play one drum code track, but um, I really felt that I have to change something. Yeah, so it was a good decision to change a little bit of sound and go more in a raw and deeper hypnotic techno direction. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And is
yeah,
that because you sorry,
yeah. Go on.
I was gonna say, is that sorry, is that because you didn't like drum code, or is it because you didn't want to you wanted to be unique, or not unique, but have your own sound?
Yeah.
Because
It it
obviously
wa-
drum
it,
code is
it
super, super popular.
yeah. It is super popular, but um if you compare their releases, I think 5 years ago and now they have a really, I would say, commercial sound, and for me it just looks like that they want to make as much money as possible, and I think that's not the way it should be. For me, always passion and fun comes first, and then we can talk about the money. And I really thought they have so many artists now on drum code. I think 50 to 100 artists on the label, and everyone is using the same presets, the same synths, and I even the same. They have tracks with the same vocal samples, and I said
Yeah.
that that is not what I wanna achieve. So I really
Yeah.
uh locked me up in the studio, and I was just recording my own samples for the last 6 months. I was recording samples, and then I fucked them up again and recorded them again, and so um, all the new music which I will release this year is really my own sound. So yeah,
Awesome.
I'm I'm
Awesome. I love that.
I'm really happy that I made that decision 6 months ago to change a little bit the sound, because the months before I really forced me to sound like that drum code thing, because I really wanted to release on drum code, and
Yeah.
that was a completely wrong direction. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. No, I know what you mean about the shift in the way that they sound over the last few years. I mean, I remember I went to an event 7 years ago, and it was my first experience of drum code. And I remember Leighton Jordani and Alan Fitzpatrick were playing, and I think Adam Bauer was playing as well. And it was amazing. Like, it was really, really good. But I would agree that the sound, I mean, even then, I remember people saying, oh, maybe it's a bit commercial, but I really enjoyed it. But I think even now, there's definitely been a bit of a shift in that way. I mean, it doesn't mean I don't enjoy it, but it's interesting in the way that it's changed. It's not quite what I remembered that as.
Yeah, and I think that's my personal opinion. Um, Labels are not that important anymore. You can release your music by yourself on Spotify, because the labels are they don't do anything. They make some Instagram or TikTok or Facebook posts, and maybe when they really impressed by your sound, they maybe do a meta ad. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's everything they do. Yeah, and in 2 weeks they have another release, and yeah, and you don't play a role anymore. So I
Yeah.
think it's labels are not that important anymore. And if you talk to young people who are starting now to go to clubs or something, they're not interested in labels. They're interested in Instagram profiles, yeah, but they are not
Yeah.
interested in labels. They don't care about that. So
Interesting. No, it's a really, really good point.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's true. It's true because if you were to, I think for the majority of people, when you were to have a conversation about it, and you sort of went off of what label is that, or what label is running that event type of thing, it doesn't really come up in the conversations, especially with younger people. Which is it's a really good point. And I suppose just looking forward, then I suppose maybe not looking forward, but looking back rather. What has been your biggest challenge as a DJ and producer so far?
Um, I think the biggest challenge, it was my biggest challenge, and I think it's still my biggest challenge, is to get satisfied with the amount of gigs, because I always think it's too less. Um, I think, but when I talk to other artists, like I have a weekly conversation with Alex Stein, and then he always said, "Look back to 2020 and 2021. How many gigs did you have there? You had 2 gigs in a whole year, and now you have 25 to 30 gigs in a year. So you have to
Yeah.
be happy." So
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
I always need someone who knocks on my head and say, "Look back," and then you have to be happy
Yeah.
how it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's really like that. But for me, that's the biggest challenge. I want to play as much as I can, because I love to play for people on the weekends. That is my biggest passion. Um, but it's really hard to get gigs at the moment. My booking agent is really hustling and working hard. Yeah, many promoters say, yeah, the Instagram numbers are not there. It's just 5,500 followers. That's too less.
Wow.
So yeah, that's the biggest challenge. And then you have all the pressure from social media. If you go on Instagram, then you see all the other artists are performing well, and they have shows, and everything is super amazing all the time. And then you think, holy shit, it's going so good for all the other artists, but for me it's not. And yeah, in the end, everyone is dealing with the same problem. Yeah, it's
100%.
ridiculous, but yeah,
No,
totally
it's
crazy.
true though. Yeah, no, I understand what you mean. Just seeing it's dangerous comparing yourself to other people. It
Oh
does
yeah,
get you in that mindset. So yeah, I 100% understand that. And I think even with things that I'm doing as well, I definitely feel that 100%. Uh, and social media is the sort of central problem to that. And just coming back a little bit to what you were saying about the fact that a promoter might not want to value an artist as greatly because of that. And that's not an indication of skill or talent,
yeah.
with someone's
But
followers.
I can understand the decisions sometimes they make, because they are under pressure too. All Most clubs in Germany have problems to get enough guests. So for them, it's really important to book someone who brings the people to the club. And
Yeah.
the most the most indicator for them is social media, but sometimes they are not really looking behind the numbers, and I think that's also a really a big problem. Last year I lost a gig because the promoter said, yeah, it's just 5,000 followers for him, and for her it's 10,000, so we will book her. So and then
Terrible.
I went to her profile, and I clicked on the followers, and there were 7,000 followers from India and Pakistan, and I said they won't buy tickets for
Yeah.
Germany. So yeah,
So true.
but that's how decisions are made at the moment, and yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating. It's really, really interesting. And in terms of sort of what you've got coming up in the future then, taking these challenges into consideration in your mindset and whatnot, what's coming up in the future for you?
I have some releases already planned for this year.
Yeah.
I have a release coming up on a really on a big German label. It's a collab with my friend Tecmo. He's from Berlin, and we will release a track on Al Aula this year. And I also have a release coming up on Memoro by Joyhauser. Um, and then I have a new residency in Frankfurt, in Tanzhaus West, a really old club, and the club has a really big techno history, so I really
Yeah.
appreciate that. And they also celebrating their 15 years today, this year, so they do a compilation, and I also will do a track for them. So yeah, that's and I also want to release some tracks on my own label yeah, to push that a little bit more. It's not that I don't want to get famous with the label, but the truth is, when I release music on my own label, all the royalties yeah are mine, and I don't
Yeah.
have to share 60/40 or 50/50. So everything is mine, and I have a good overview about the streams and sales, and um, that is that is a thing that becomes more and more important, because usually as an artist, you don't earn the money with your tracks, you earn the money with your gigs. And if you don't have that many gigs, um, but you have to invest money in promotion, so you have to be careful what you do with your tracks. And I released already one track on my own label, and I really can see monthly what it makes in money. So yeah, that's,
Yeah.
for me, that is a little bit better. I don't have to
Definitely.
wait 3 months, 6 months. A few months ago, I got the royalties from a track I released 3 years ago. Yeah,
Wow.
and when I release it on my own label, I can I can pick up the cash every month or every 2 months. So yeah, that's, for
Yeah.
me, that's a little bit better, and I really see how much I earn with my music.
Yeah. It gives you so much more control over what you're doing
Yeah.
and transparency.
That's right. And many people are do it like that. Uh,
Yeah.
um, Last week, Space 92 came up with his own label. Joyhauser have their own label. Victor Ruiz has its own label. Weber has its own label. Um, and the the new guys, which I really love, like Schler and Alarico, they all have their own thing, and it works, and it also shows me that labels are not that important anymore.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Today
No,
it's more important to be your own brand,
yeah.
as an artist, so you can also do your own label,
I
because
would agree.
it belongs to your brand, the label. Your own podcast belongs to your brand, or if you are in a collective, you do all the things together, and you have a better control.
Yeah.
I think
No, 100%.
that's a really positive thing today. Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree. I think there's a lot to be said about that and having more autonomy and control. And it is an empowering thing too to be able to do that. Um, because it cuts out the middleman. You know, why realistically do you need that? And as you said earlier, you know, it's not like you're benefiting if you have a relationship with a label a lot of the time. So it's interesting, and I think it is a big positive.
And it's not like in the past. In the past, labels and the artists on the label, they were like family, like a community, and it's not like that anymore. Because that was something that I was looking for always. Because it makes so much more fun to share all the good times with people, with the people around you, with your colleagues on your label or your booking agency, but it's not that anymore. That's really
Yeah.
sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go on YouTube, there's a really good documentary about Penpod and their first label, Mobile. Is really amazing how they all together supported each other. They had their own events. They it was a really a family thing. That was really cool. And I was looking for that a long time, but that's it's not like that anymore.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. I'll definitely check that out. Um, I wanted to just ask as well. One of the last questions I'll ask is, um, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Um, uh, a really a really good advice. Don't spend money on playlists on Spotify because it brings you nothing. It's also you go on Instagram and you get these promos. Yeah, this playlist here, and we guarantee you streams. I spent a lot of money in shitty playlists, and yeah,
Wow. I
um,
didn't realize that. I didn't realize you had to pay to be on these. I honestly just thought Spotify found them and picked them.
yeah, no, it's really yeah. I think sometimes it's like I have it's like a scam. You
Yeah,
pay for it and they put you on their playlist, and you have a lot of fake streams, and it's don't spend money on playlists.
interesting. Yeah,
Look for someone who is really good in Facebook ads and Instagram ads, and then take the money and spend $5 a day for Facebook and Meta ads, and then you can really build a solid um, yeah a solid monthly listeners.
awesome.
It's really worth it. Don't pay for fucking playlists. Yeah,
That's great advice. That sounds like really good advice.
it really destroys everything. And
It's damaging.
when you stop to invest in playlists, your streams go down to zero. Yeah, and then you have to start again and again and again, and take that money, spend it on really good yeah, search for someone who is really good in meta ads, and then you can really build a good monthly listenership, and you can grow it. It's growing slowly. Yeah, you have to be patient. Yeah, but we started with meta ads. I think it was 3 months ago, but you really can see how the monthly listeners grow. It's slowly, but they grow. It looks good on your Spotify profile when you send music for the editorial playlist. It looks good when it's growing slowly and you don't have a peak and then nothing and then another peak. So Spotify see that you are paying for playlist placements, and then they say,
Yeah,
okay, we won't support your track on editorial playlist. So
yeah.
that is a really an advice. I wish I wish I knew that 3 years
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know, because it's not really a nice thought to think that also it's not like it's like a fake playlist essentially when you think about it, the whole thing. Um, but yeah, um, with with your sort of obviously we talked about what you want to achieve. Hypothetically, what would be your dream back to back, and what club would you want to do it in?
Whoa, a dream back to back. I think Weber would be really I would really enjoy that, but also Victor or Alex because we're really good friends.
Yeah,
Um, and I already played support slots, but not back to back. I think that would be really cool.
yeah,
Um, and club, yeah, I really like Ritter Butzke in Berlin. Uh, that would be great. But it's also very difficult to get slots there. But yeah, that would be great to do a back to back with Alex or Victor or Weber in Ritter Butzke in Berlin. Yeah, that would be cool.
awesome, man, awesome. That sounds sick. But no, I mean, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Um, I loved your motto on your t-shirts. I think it's great. I'm gonna be saying that to myself. And I think you have an amazing attitude. It's clearly paid off as well. And I think with your label and your upcoming ventures and what you've achieved so far, you've got a really exciting career and life ahead. So yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Oh, I have to say thank you to you because it really was great talking to you and telling a little bit about my story.
I'm glad, honestly. Thank you.
Yeah,
All right,
it
man.
was a
Thank
pleasure.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.